Last summer was supposed to be different. I was 32 years old, recently unemployed, and seeking peace through photography in the Northern California wilderness. I spent days hiking and exploring the redwoods. It was where I felt safe, where I had memories of my childhood. One evening, I followed a familiar trail to a spot I loved, but there was something new that day. A stone formation was there, covered in moss and shaped almost like a perfect circle. I felt drawn to it, but the air around it was heavy. As I moved closer, I heard laughter. It echoed through the trees, faint at first, then it vanished. I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination. Weeks passed and I returned to the stones often. The laughter came more frequently, swirling through the trees. It felt like something was hiding from me, lurking just out of view. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision. I sometimes thought I saw movement behind the trunks, but every time I turned, nothing was there. My heart raced each time, but I kept hiking. Then I noticed how the wildlife changed. Birds stopped chirping when I was near. The deer would freeze, staring at me before darting away. It felt wrong. I began to feel eyes on me. Even my photographs started acting strange. The colors seemed off, blurred in places. I caught glimpses of shapes in the backgrounds, faces, eyes staring. I thought my camera was broken. Last week was when everything changed. The laughter came back, louder this time. I stood frozen, chills running down my spine. The feeling of being watched grew stronger. I wanted to leave, but a strange compulsion pulled me back to the stone formation. Something inside me was terrified, but I didn't run. I felt I had disturbed something, and I needed to find answers. As I turned to leave, I thought I heard someone whisper my name from the trees. It was soft and sweet. I hesitated. I wanted to look, but felt paralyzed. The shadows around the trees deepened. The laughter rose again, sharp and echoing, wrapping around me. I didn't know if I was hearing it or imagining it. I just knew I needed to escape the woods. My feet moved before I could think. I turned and rushed along the trail, the laughter trailing behind me. It followed my every step, and I felt as if I was in a nightmare, unable to wake up. When I finally reached my car, I slammed the door shut, panting. I couldn't believe what I experienced. I drove home, heart racing and hands shaking, refusing to look back. But the memories of those stones haunted me. I didn't understand what I had found there. I still don't. All I know is that something in the woods is waiting for me to come back. The following days dragged on like a thick fog. I tried to return to normalcy, but it felt impossible. I kept my camera close, hoping that shooting familiar places would shake off the fear. But even my neighborhood looked different. I swore I could feel eyes on me there too, watching from behind the trees lining the streets. At night, I lay in bed listening to every creak of the house. Sleep came in fits, and each time I closed my eyes, the laughter echoed in my mind. I told myself I was being ridiculous. It was just the woods, nothing more. But each day, the urge to return grew stronger. Finally, the obsession was too much. I gathered my gear and drove back to the stone formation. As I parked, I hesitated. The air felt electric, charged with something I couldn't name. My hands shook as I grabbed my camera and stepped onto the trail. With each step deeper into the woods, memories flooded back, overwhelming me again. When I reached the formation, I paused to gather my thoughts. The stones seemed unchanged, but the atmosphere felt heavier than before. The laughter was gone, replaced by a thick silence. I felt the weight of the trees pressing in. I scanned the area, half expecting something or someone to emerge from the shadows. I raised my camera and took a few shots, planning to focus on the intricate moss and weathered rock. But when I reviewed the images, my heart sank. The same shapes appeared, faces lurking just beyond the edges of the frame. I quickly turned around, ready to leave, but it was too late. That's when I saw it. A flash of movement caught my eye, a dark figure slipping between the trees. My breath hitched. I didn't want to look closer, yet my feet wouldn't move. A primal instinct kicked in, urging me to confront whatever was there. I called out, "Hello?" The sound echoed back, swallowed by the woods. Silence hung thick. I waited, heart pounding, until a soft giggle rang out. It was playful, almost mocking, and filled with a sense of familiarity that chilled me to the bone. The laughter curled around me again, beckoning me deeper into the trees, and I felt the urge to follow. But as I turned toward the sound, I stumbled, and my camera slipped from my grasp, crashing onto the ground. The laughter stopped, cut off abruptly. My heart raced, a sensation of dread creeping up my spine. I felt exposed, the silence now deafening. Suddenly, the shadows thickened around me, not just from the trees, but from something else. More movement flitted at the edge of my vision, and my instinct screamed to run. Should I stand my ground, or should I flee? That question burned in my mind as I fought against the urge to turn tail. Just then, I saw a figure step into the light. It wasn't clear, but I could make out the outline of a person, or something that looked human. I froze. A twig snapped behind me, and I turned to see nothing. When I looked back, the figure was gone, as if it had never been there. I didn't know if I should scream or run, but I knew one thing for sure. Whatever was in those woods had its sights set on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it was waiting for something, waiting for me to take one more step closer. I stood frozen in the dim light, pulse racing, the air thick with tension. It was as if the woods themselves were breathing, heavily, waiting. I took a shaky breath, trying to ground myself, but the memories clawed at me. That laughter from before echoed again, too close, making my skin prickle. I turned again, scanning the trees. The path behind me looked different, more foreboding. I fought the instinct to flee, knowing I had to remain calm. My camera lay discarded at my feet, its lens cracked, but still reflecting the slivers of light breaking through the canopy above. Then, I noticed something under a nearby rock, a flash of color. My curiosity pulled me forward, but doubt gnawed at me. What if it was a trap? I steadied myself, moving closer. As I crouched down, I felt a chill scrape up my back. It felt like someone was watching me closely, waiting for my next move. I reached out and brushed the dirt away. My heart thudded as I revealed a small moss-covered charm. It was oval and intricately carved, the surface depicting strange symbols I couldn't decipher. The moment I touched it, the ground shifted beneath me. No, it felt like the air around me shifted. A low humming seemed to rise from the stone formation. I pulled my hand back quickly, glancing around. That laughter was replaced by a low, rhythmic chant echoing through the trees. It was distant, muffled, but somehow familiar, pulling at the edges of my memory. Panic surged inside me. Whatever was happening felt ancient, beyond me. I reevaluated my surroundings. The trees closer to the stones appeared to twist and contort unnaturally, as if they were alive. I stumbled backward, adrenaline kicking in. A part of me screamed to run, to escape this place filled with eeriness. But another part of me felt a strange connection to what I had found. Suddenly, the laughter erupted again, this time louder, shriller. I caught glimpses of movement between the trees, small figures darting in and out of sight. Shadows twisted and danced, almost like they were in a frenzy. I gripped the charm tighter, feeling the weight of something ancient pressing down upon me. "Who's there?" I yelled, forcing my voice to stay steady. The sound echoed in response, fading back into the trees. Silence returned, leaving my heart in my throat. It was then I spotted something unusual above me. An unnatural dark shadow formed high in the branches, far too large for any creature I knew. My breath caught.
I couldn't tell if it was alive or just an illusion.
The woods paused, as if they were awaiting this moment. With a sudden clarity, the urgency hit me. I couldn't stay any longer. Whatever this thing was, it felt like it was nearing a reckoning. I turned to run. My instincts screamed at me to escape, but still, part of me felt tethered to the charm, pulling me back toward it. But as I sprinted down the path, I heard the laughter again, this time trailing behind me, closing in. I could sense something chasing after me, a whisper in the wind promising to catch me if I looked back. I had to get out. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. Someone, or something, was following me. I ran. My feet padded over the uneven ground, roots snagging at my ankles like hands trying to pull me back. The laughter echoed behind me, a cruel reminder that whatever followed was close. I couldn't dare look back, not with the shadow looming over me, its presence as oppressive as the memories of those woods that haunted me. The trees closed in, their branches clawing at the sky, and each breath felt like a struggle against the thickening air. I pushed myself harder, but fatigue threatened to pull me under. The path twisted ahead, narrowing into a fork. Panic gripped me. The right path led deeper into the woods, into the darkness. The left path seemed to head toward a clearing. My heart screamed at me to choose the clearing. Without hesitating, I veered left, desperate for open space. As I stumbled into the clearing, the sudden brightness momentarily blinded me. I shielded my eyes, squinting against the sunlight streaming through. But there was something off about this warmth. It felt foreign amidst the encroaching shadows. Just ahead, perched on weathered stones, stood a group of those small figures I had glimpsed before. They were watching me, still and silent, their eyes glinting. They were not human. Their features were distorted and foreign. They resembled twisted caricatures of children, with limbs that didn't seem to belong to their bodies. A shiver coursed down my spine. I froze again. Facing them brought a different kind of fear. The charm in my hand pulsed, its power humming through me, urging me to act, to understand. But terror made my legs heavy. The laughter had quieted, replaced by a low, melodious chant, blending with the rustling leaves, luring me closer. "Stay back!" I shouted, my voice trembling. It sounded weaker than I'd hoped. They didn't approach, but they swayed gently, as if caught in their own rhythm, inviting me to join. I could feel the charm's pull growing stronger. With uncertainty settling over me like a fog, I lowered the charm to my chest. "What do you want from me?" The words slipped out, desperate. One of the figures stepped forward, its face twisting in a grotesque grin. "You know us," it whispered, voice soft and smooth like melted honey, yet cold like the grave. "You have what we need." I recoiled, panic surging. "What do you mean? I don't know anything." The chant rose again, a haunting lullaby that seemed to wrap around me, both calming and terrifying. I glanced back at the path I had come from. Would fleeing mean certain danger? The figures moved closer, their expressions shifting, and I felt the weight of their gaze deepen. Then everything went dark. The shadows wove together, and I felt the world tilt beneath me. I stumbled, grappling for balance, but I was falling, pulled into a swirling void. The air grew heavy and filled with an unsettling pressure. As I was engulfed in darkness, a single thought pierced through my fear. I had discovered something I shouldn't have, and now I was facing the consequences. Then I fumbled in confusion, unsure of which way was up. I could hear whispers, soft, persistent. "You've come for us, haven't you?" Finally I gasped, the ominous chant ringing in my ears.
I knew then that I had not only entered the woods, but I had stepped into something far deeper than I could have ever imagined. As the darkness enveloped me, the world slipped away. I felt weightless, suspended in an endless void. No sound, no light, just an overwhelming silence that gnawed at me. The whispers grew clearer, echoing all around me. "You've come for us," they repeated, drumming into my thoughts like a chant. Suddenly, the ground solidified beneath me, and with a jolt, I was thrust back into reality. I stumbled onto damp earth, gasping for breath. The clearing was gone, replaced by a narrow stone tunnel draped in shadows. My heart hammered in my chest as I scanned my surroundings, desperate for a sign of the figures. The air felt colder, almost clammy, and the darkness pressed in on me like a thick fog. I rubbed the charm, hoping for some guidance or illumination, but it remained silent in my grip. With no other choice, I took a cautious step forward. The tunnel curved ahead, its depths mysterious and unsettling. A faint glow flickered in the distance, barely visible through the encroaching shadows. I hesitated, every instinct screaming for me to turn back, but the whispers grew louder, drawing me toward the light. "Follow us," they seemed to beckon, laced with a sweetness that masked a dark undertone. Nervously, I moved closer to the glow. As I walked, the tunnel widened, and suddenly I was in a colossal chamber. It felt ancient, the walls etched with markings I couldn't comprehend. The flickering light came from bioluminescent fungi clinging to the stones, illuminating grotesque shadows that danced along the walls. That's when I saw it. A figure standing opposite me, shrouded in darkness. Its features were harder to make out, but it wasn't one of the small creatures from the forest. This being was taller, its shape more defined. Something familiar stirred in my gut, a sense of recognition mixed with dread. "I've been waiting for you,"
said, its voice echoing against the stone. I took a step back, ready to bolt, but fear rooted me in place. "You shouldn't have come here," it continued. "But now that you have, you must choose." "Choose?" I stammered, my throat dry. "Choose what?" The figure pointed toward the far side of the chamber, where the shadows swirled like mist. "There lies a path to your past, the truths you've buried. Or you can stay with us and learn the power that awaits. The choice is yours." I felt lightheaded. The idea of confronting my past twisted my stomach. But staying with these figures? What kind of power did they offer? A part of me wanted to flee, to escape back to the woods, but they had already taken that option from me. As I stood there, the weight of their gaze pressing down, I knew I was at a crossroads. Suddenly, the room trembled and the shadows intensified. "Make your choice!" the voice roared, shaking the ground beneath me. Panic surged within me, and I scrambled for an answer. There was no more time. The darkness swirled closer, threatening to swallow me whole. I had to act, but I had no idea what awaited me in either path. That's when I felt the charm pulse again, as if sensing my turmoil, urging me to decide before it was too late. The moment hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. My mind raced, trying to make sense of everything. What would happen if I chose the path to my past? Would I uncover secrets better left hidden? And if I chose power, what price would it exact from me? As I stood frozen, the shadows shifted, swirling closer, almost like they had a mind of their own. I could feel their cold breath, an urgent reminder that time was slipping away. Then, the charm in my hand vibrated fiercely, the warmth breaking through my cold panic. It was like it had a heartbeat of its own, guiding me somehow. "Choose the past," a whisper echoed from the darkness. I turned, startled. It was a voice I recognized, a voice from my childhood.
Remember, it continued, pulling memories from the depths of my mind. My heart raced. Could it be my sister? The one who had vanished on our last hike? I wanted to cry out, to chase after the voice, but dread weighed me down. What if this voice was another trap? Without thinking, I stumbled toward the swirling shadows. The closer I got, the more the darkness folded around me, deepening my sense of foreboding. Just before I crossed the threshold, a sharp pain pierced my hand. The charm had burned into my skin, a warning more than pain. My choice hung in the balance. I will find the truth, I whispered to myself, the words barely escaping my lips as I plunged forward. As the shadows enveloped me, I felt the air shift, my surroundings jolting impossibly. Suddenly, I was in
a different place entirely. I stood in a forest, eerily familiar yet unsettling. The trees loomed like silent sentinels, their twisted branches clawing at the sky. A heavy mist hung above the ground, swirling around my ankles. I felt a weight settle in the pit of my stomach. This was no ordinary clearing. This was a memory. Then, just ahead, I saw her, a figure standing still, almost ghost-like. My breath caught in my throat. It was my sister, just as I remembered her from that summer. Her hair caught in the wind, her back turned to me. I wanted to run to her, but something held me back. The whispers of the forest cradled me, wrapping around my awareness, and a terrible realization dawned on me. "Do you see?" The same voice from before came again. "You chose this path, to remember, and now you must face what you left behind." My heart sank. I wanted to scream, to deny it, but I knew this was the moment I had been avoiding. The forest thickened around me, drowning out all else. Then reality shattered once more as the whispers crescendoed into a furious howl. "Come to us," they cried, no longer sweet but demanding. Panic surged. I had to act, to understand who this figure was and why it stood there, beckoning me closer. But as I took a tentative step forward, the air around me shattered like glass. I had made my choice, but what awaited me on this path was about to reveal itself in ways I could have never anticipated. The moment I stepped into the clearing, the air grew heavy, dense with memories and regret. I could see her, my sister, still as a statue, and I felt the pull to reach out. But fear held me firmly in place. I knew this moment, this face, yet it felt warped, twisted somehow by time. "Don't you want to know?" the voice taunted. "Why she's waiting for you?" "Yes, I want to know," I shouted into the forest, my voice cracking. "But you're not her." I felt foolish speaking to the darkness, yet it propelled me forward. The mist swirled thicker, tugging at my jeans like unseen hands. I heard whispers flitting through the air, angry and mournful. "You abandoned us!" they screamed. The ground beneath me pulsed with their rage, and it sent chills down my spine. As I focused on my sister, I noticed something odd. Her hair, which had looked like sunlight, now seemed darker, shadowy tendrils cascading down her back. With each heartbeat, the air changed, wrapping around me like a cold embrace. I pressed forward, desperate to uncover the truth behind her presence. "Speak to me," I cried, feeling a surge of determination. "Tell me what happened." She turned slowly, revealing her face. But it wasn't the face I remembered. The eyes that locked onto mine were hollow, dark pits that seemed to absorb the light around us. "You shouldn't have come back," she whispered. "They won't let you leave." A sharp realization hit me. The whispers were not just remnants of the past. They were alive. The memories, the feelings, they were entrenched in this place, drawing energy from my fear. In that moment,
I understood that I was a stranger in my own memory. Why did you disappear? What happened on that hike? I felt a surge of panic as the mist twisted and shadows danced around her figure. Tell me! Suddenly, her expression shifted from sadness to something darker, something more dangerous. You don't want to know, she hissed. What we found, it seeks you as it sought me. The ground trembled, and an unsettling roar erupted from the woods, drowning out her words. The shadows swelled, morphing into shapes that pulsed and shimmered, moving closer. I could feel their desire to claim me, to pull me into their world of lost souls. "Run!" I screamed at her back, but she was already dissolving into mist, her last expression one of regret, intertwined with terror. Just then, a silhouette emerged from the fading light, a figure near the edge of the clearing. I squinted, desperately trying to make out who or what it was. Then, everything turned dark, and the ground beneath me began to shift. The whispers intensified, and I stumbled backward, heart racing. "No!" I gasped, searching for an escape, but the mist swallowed everything. The silhouette moved closer, and my instinct screamed at me to flee. But where could I go? That's when I heard it, a soft, broken laugh that sent shivers down my spine. "You've come so far, but this is just the beginning," the voice taunted, sending me deep into panic. I needed to find a way out before whatever had claimed my past turned its sights on me. The world around me was a maze of shadows and whispers, each one tugging at my mind. I turned, desperate for a way out, but the silhouette loomed larger, and I felt something break within me. I'd had enough of this. I took a shaky step forward, ready to confront whatever awaited me. "What do you want?" I shouted into the mist. My voice echoed, but the only response was the soft laughter again, a haunting mix of mockery and pity. "You've been so brave, but brave doesn't always mean smart," it said, a voice that felt like a sinister caress. I caught a glimpse of the figure's features, pale skin stretched tight over a smirk, eyes that sparkled with malice. I needed to move. The ground felt unstable beneath me, as if it was alive and ready to swallow me whole. I took another step back, but the shadows surged forward, an undulating mass that pushed against me. "Get back!" I yelled, swiping at the air as if I could fend them off. Just then, a flash of clarity broke through the chaos. That voice, the broken laugh, was familiar. It had whispered to me in dreams,
lingering in the corners of my mind. But now, I needed to know the truth. "Who are you?" I demanded, feeling a rush of defiance. "What do you want from me?" The figure tilted its head. "We want what you took. What your sister took," it said, each word cutting through the mist like a knife. "You can't escape your fate." Before I could react, a gust of wind swirled around me, sending the mist spiraling. I turned to look back at my sister, desperate for guidance, but she was gone, and only a swirling void remained in her place. That absence hit me like a punch. The laughter grew louder, morphing into a chorus of voices, a cacophony of regret and distress. "You chose to forget, but the woods remember," they cried. Panic bubbled in my chest. I had come back here to uncover the truth, but all I was finding was a web of darkness and despair. Suddenly, the ground beneath me bucked violently, sending me sprawling. I landed hard, gasping for breath. The whispers grew to a frenetic hum, pressing against my ears, and I could feel the pull of unseen hands grasping at my limbs. I pushed myself up, scanning for an escape route. That's when I saw it. A narrow path breaking through the trees, lit by a flickering light. It wasn't there a moment ago. My heart raced with hope. Maybe it was my way out. I stumbled toward it, feeling the chill of the shadows retreat as I moved. "No!" the mocking voice screeched, frustration tinging its tone. As I raced down the path, I glanced back one last time, the shadows close behind, their claws reaching for me. This wasn't over. I could feel it deep in my bones. But I had to keep running. Ahead, the light grew brighter, promising safety. Or perhaps another trap. Still, I was willing to take the risk. As I stepped into the glow, I realized I was crossing a threshold, a boundary between two worlds. Then the laughter stopped. The silence was deafening as I crossed over. And just like that, the clearing behind me faded into the dark, leaving only the echo of my sister's name on my lips. What had I just walked into? I needed answers, and I was about to dive headfirst into a new nightmare. I stumbled into a strange clearing, a stark contrast to the shadows I just fled. The air was thick but tangible, almost electric. Around me, the trees stood like sentinels, their branches twisted and gnarled, as if they had grown weary of holding their secrets. "Hello?" I called softly, hoping for any sign of life or comfort. My voice felt small and lost among the towering giants. The silence stretched, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves that echoed back my fears. I took a cautious step forward, the ground solid beneath my feet. Then I saw it. A stone altar, half buried under moss and vines, its surface covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. My heart raced. What was this place? I knelt to inspect it, tracing a finger over the engravings. They felt warm, alive, pulsing with energy. There was a shiver of recognition, memories flickering like old film. I had dreamt of this altar, but in those dreams it had been surrounded by my sister's laughter. "Lara," I whispered, the name escaping my lips like a prayer. The weight of her absence settled heavily on my chest. I needed her here. I needed her strength. A sudden rustle interrupted my thoughts, snapping me back to the present. I turned, heart racing again, scanning the trees. There was something moving in the shadows. My breath caught in my throat as I searched for the source. Then I saw it, not fully formed, but unmistakable. A ghostly figure floated just at the edge of the clearing. "Who are you?" I croaked, instinctively backing away. "It's not who I am that matters," the figure replied, its voice echoing like wind through hollow trees. "It's what you carry that interests us." I flinched, confusion knotting my stomach. "What do you mean?" "My sister," I stammered. "She's missing." The admission hung between us, heavy and desperate. The figure drifted closer, and the air rippled with cold. "She is not lost. She is separate." "What does that mean?" I felt my hands clench into fists. "Where is she?" An unsettling silence followed, and the shadows seemed to breathe around me. I glanced back at the altar, and then back at the figure. "You know something." "True knowledge comes at a cost," it said, its eyes glimmering with something dark. "Are you willing to pay?" I hesitated, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Was I prepared to bargain with something so clearly steeped in the unknown? But then I thought of Lara, of the secrets that had been buried in our past, of the worry that gnawed at my insides. "I'll do anything," I finally said, my voice trembling with resolve. The figure nodded slowly. "Very well," it whispered. "But remember, some truths are harder to bear than others." I felt a chill race down my spine as it offered me a small wooden token engraved with the same symbols as the altar. "This will guide you, but you must act quickly." Before I could question it further, the figure dissolved into the mist,
leaving me alone again, clutching the token. I stared into the woods, uncertainty washing over me. The shadows still hovered nearby, eager and watchful. And then the ground quivered beneath me once more. I had only just begun to navigate this tangled web of past and present, but I could feel the urgency pressing down on me. What had I just agreed to? And what truths awaited me in the dark embrace of those woods? I clutched the wooden token tightly as I weighed my options. The shadows cast by the surrounding trees felt
Heavier now, eager to reclaim me. "What truths are you hiding?" I whispered, scanning the forest for any signs of movement. I thought of the ghostly figure and its unsettling knowledge. The stakes were painfully high, and the lingering absence of my sister gnawed at me. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. The altar glowed faintly, encouraging me to act. One path had led me here, all tangled up in my fears. Another lay ahead, deeper into the tangling woods. I could feel a pull, a gravitational force, urging me to follow it as if it could reveal something vital. "Laura," I murmured, heart heavy, "I'm coming for you." I stepped over the moss-covered roots, the token warm against my palm. With each step, the forest felt less hostile, morphed into a labyrinth of whispers and possibility. Maybe the truth would bring answers, or maybe it would lead to deeper darkness. The deeper I ventured, the more the trees closed in, their tall trunks blotting out the fading light. I continued onward, desperately searching for anything that felt familiar, any sign of Laura. And then I heard it, faint at first, but unmistakable. It was laughter, a child's laughter, mixed with something else, something that sent shivers racing along my spine. Against my better judgment, I pressed forward, the darkness thickening. A clearing opened up ahead, bathing me in muted light. I hesitated on the brink of the space, a sinking dread pooling in my stomach. The laughter continued, twisting in ways that felt both welcoming and ominous. As I stepped into the clearing, my breath hitched. There they were, small figures, not unlike those I had encountered before. They danced in rings, faces obscured, enveloped in childlike delight, yet their eyes glinted with a knowing cruelty. The same ghostly laughter spilled from their lips, and my heart raced with a mix of fear and horror. "Come play with us," one of them called out, its voice sweet with malice. I wanted to scream, to turn and run, but the token in my hand throbbed with energy, resonating with something deep inside me. "Where's Laura?" I shouted, summoning all the strength within me. The laughter stopped instantly, and the air grew still. The figures turned to face me, their expressions shifting, as if they shared an unspoken understanding. "Why do you seek her?" another figure asked, its voice eerily calm. "She chose to stay. She won't return." The chill pierced through me. "You're lying," I spat, gripping the token tighter. "I can't accept that." "But you can't save what has already been lost," the figures sang, their voices lifting into an unsettling harmony. "Her memories belong to us now. She is part of the woods." My heart pounded as a wave of despair washed over me. I could feel the shadows creeping back, threatening to smother me in their grip. I had come too far to give in, too far to surrender to the unknown. "Laura, I'm here. You must hear me." I shouted again, searching the gathering darkness for any hint of her presence. Silence lingered. My desperation clawed at me, urging me to act, to fight against the twisted reality surrounding me. As shadows began to swirl closer, I raised the token toward the figures. To my shock, it pulsed with vibrant light, illuminating the clearing. The figures recoiled, gasping as it pushed back the darkness. "Hold on to your truth!" they shrieked. But I held my ground, feeling the surge of hope ignite within me. "Laura!" I called, desperation bursting through.
If you can hear me, please come. Don't leave me." Suddenly, the air crackled and the shadows retreated, revealing a figure at the edge of the clearing. My heart froze. There she was, or at least a ghostly outline of her, a familiar silhouette wrapped in the mist. "Laura!" I stepped forward, but the figures rushed in, blocking me from her. Their eyes glistened with malice. "Foolish! She is not for you!" "No!" I shouted, pushing against their will with all my strength. The token burned in my hand, guiding me. I can't lose her again. In a sudden surge of raw power, the ground shifted beneath me. Vibrant energies exploded, breaking the tension as I leaped forward, pushing past the figures. With one final call, I reached for Laura. "Don't believe them! We can escape together!" A blink, and the mist flickered like flames around us. The laughter morphed into a deafening chorus of screams, but I refused to let go. I could feel the warmth radiate from the token, pulling me and Laura closer. In a flash, the figures vanished, consumed by the shadows, and I stood alone in the light. The clearing had transformed. It no longer felt claustrophobic, now bathed in a warm glow. The laughter in the distance faded, as though the woods had released its grip. But where was Laura? My pulse raced as uncertainty flooded back. Was I too late? Taking one last breath, I surveyed the landscape, a sense of determination flooding my being. I had come too far to turn back. The woods still held secrets that needed to be revealed, darkness and shadows that lurked just beyond my reach. And as the murmurs faded into the corner of the woods, something deep within me felt promising. I would continue to search. I would find the truth of the woods, of my sister, and perhaps finally understand the nature of the darkness I had stumbled into. I still wonder if I will ever truly escape them. But in that moment of clarity, I felt the call of the wild, an echo of resilience urging me onward. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning.